looking at the film from the Syracuse game again, proud of our guys to overcome and play a great game. Syracuse has had a great year so far, very good team. Played some great games against Clemson, of course, and LSU and everybody else. They've had a great year. A very tough team to defend. Our defense did a really nice job in a lot of areas. Well, we got to get better on both sides. I think the biggest disappointment for us on both sides is probably third down on our efficiency on offense and their efficiency on defense. Got to do a better job of getting off the field and staying on the field in that regard. But we competed very well in the game. Not always with, like I say, made mistakes. Again, still didn't play as well as we want to play, but kept playing and played the next play. Areas which we did, created big plays on offense and finished plays, got points. In that regard, Cam had some, but we had some big passes. Hit one big early in the first drive. Made some good plays there. Got to learn to close out a little better on offense. Hopefully could have ran that football out and got a first down and ended that clock. But the defense held up and they got some plays. But great effort by Derwin at the end of the game, which I didn't realize at the time until he come over. He got a piece of that field goal and on the block right there. So it was a very good effort. Our guys played extremely hard, competed well. It's a great win. It's getting over a hump and hopefully you can build on that. Now, we better build on it quick because we play a great team this week. Play one of the top 4 teams in the country. Clemson's playing very well, come off a big win against North Carolina State, who we know is a very good team, played very well. We had a great game with also. So they've been in some battles all year, Clemson has. They seem to always be pulling them out, doing a great job. Dabo does a great job. Quarterback can run. Does a great job running the football big and physical. The receivers are fast, good young backs. Defensively, their front's outstanding. Linebackers are big and physical. Secondary's athletic. So in kicking game, they're always very good. So we need to learn from what we did, hopefully build some confidence. Again, ran the football well at times, created big plays on offense. Got to get better on third down, but we scored points, moved the football, had some long drives, had some short drives. But getting big plays, you're going to do that. Defensively, again, handling that whole passing game and the quarterback run game. Had some plays on the quarterback late and just had guys in the hole and just missed him. And had guys there to do it and just got to play better there. But play a little smarter, play a little better. Some of those young guys getting experience, I think, will be critical in the games, and so they can continue to play better. But, excited about the way they played and competed in the game, and it was a good win. Questions?
Jimbo, looking at the film, how did Hamza grade out? Because he played a majority of the game.
Played solidly. Had a couple. I made some real nice tackles. He missed a couple. He had a quarterback in the hole one time that should have been about a 4-yard loss. It became about a 20-yard gain. That he's right there to make the play and took his eyes off and he's right there. But then he turns around and bats his long arms, defends balls. Made a great play down there to knock a ball out and tries to throw it back in bounds. But that's all part of experience. You got to go back in there. There's some instincts there to be able to do that. At the same time, you say, why would you do that? But sometimes he's saying, well, I could throw it in there. I mean, there's some things just how to play in the situations. But very talented guy, very, very gifted guy, and is now learning our scheme and what goes on and how to play in the game, but very proud. And he's a physical guy. Again, he does a great job on special teams. He's getting better and better. Going to be a heck of a player.
And is that what, DJ had there's no reason to try to return that ball there with that time in the clock. Decision. Is that the stuff where they get that experience that you can't really get in practice?
Well, we're going to say you get it in practice and you do it, but still you go out there in the game and do it, and you want to go make plays. You got to play intelligently, and that was not a smart decision right there. And there's times you want to go do too much. That's what I say. And you want to do this, and you want to make the smart plays. If you make the smart right plays, your ability will take over, and hopefully experience you learn from. And that's what you find out. Now will they repeat those mistakes? You coached them in it before, but they went out and did them. Okay, you coach them in it again. You make sure they do it. Hope they don't repeat them. And if they do, then you have to make adjustments. But at the same time, those guys shouldn't, and I think they're going to be outstanding players.
Jimbo, for your freshmen, this week will be the first time they've really been in this type of atmosphere, this many people that are against them. How do you sort of prepare for that?
No, you just go play. You block it out. You can't worry about it. And you have your crowd noise and all that, but you got to experience that too. You got to go through it.
Jimbo, Clemson's pass rush, their sack numbers are obviously really impressive.
33 sacks.
How do is it mostly the front four, or do they bring pressure from
They bring pressure, but they're front four. A lot of us are front four. I mean, they got great inside push guys. Wilkins and Lawrence are both excellent. Wilkins can go in and out. Farrell and Bryant and all those guys are all natural pass rushers. They're really good guys. Will be high draft pick guys, and then they bring pressure with it. So it's a mixture.
You guys have had a lot of great games with Clemson in your tenure here. And
I've just been watching them all. I've been phenomenal ones. High-scoring ones, low-scoring ones. I mean, we've won some shootouts, 49-38, and we won 51-7 something, and then 23-17, 23-13, 16th. I mean, there's been some phenomenal games.
Going on that theme, can you kind of elaborate on, how this rivalry has helped shape the rise of the ACC and, what Clemson's rise has meant to the conference as a whole?
Oh, I think it has. I think their rises came from their commitment to football. I think they've been committed, but their administration has done a tremendous job of spending and doing and building, and not just building, but all the things behind the scenes to do it. I know their AD very well. And he's done a great job, and Dabo's done a great job. Their vision to do things, and then they got good players and got good tradition. I think us and them have, in the beginning, have pushed that, but now this league has become Miami's so great. You see NC State playing so well. Virginia Tech has had great tradition. Pitt and all those guys, all those people are doing a great job. Louisville, I mean, you just go down Georgia Tech. I mean, you go through the history of it up and down, and our league gets better and better, and Clemson has been a huge part. And right now, they've done a great job.
Jimbo, Derek Kelly got a little banged up. Is he going to be able to come back this week?
We'll wait and see. Well, I'm not going to talk personnel or injuries till I know more about it. We'll see.
Okay. I guess Auden just was a game-time decision, just wasn't ready to go because it looked like he warmed up.
He wasn't ready to go?
Okay. Cam was named ACC Back of the Week and ACC Freshman of the Week. Mm-hmm. Is he starting to I don't want to say figure it out because he's been good since he started playing, but can he become that special dynamic player?
We'll see in time if he keeps working. I mean, there's still lots of things he has to work on. There's still a lot of little things in open field running and things that he can even still improve on. I know that sounds crazy, but there's a lot of little details in his game that as he learns what to do and how to do it that he'll even do better. But he's a dynamic player and has the ability to be a really good player. I mean, we'll find that would be determined by how hard he works and how much he keeps progressing and where he's at. But he can do some really good things.
Do refs just not see horse collars?
I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. I mean,
do these have to be brought down? Is that
I'm not sure exactly. We're going to get an interpretation. And I ask those things all the time, exactly how you calling them. So I don't know if it is or not.
Coach, that was actually going to be my question, too, on the horse collar. It seems like that's a play that's been coming up through the past few years, and it hasn't been called historically. Is that something that maybe you'd like to see referees take a bigger look at moving forward?
What they call is what we'll go by. That's out of my control. I mean, you're talking to the wrong guy. You have to ask them how they're going to call it or what they're going to call. I mean, I don't know if it is or not. I'm not saying they were right or wrong. So if they call it, they call it. If they don't, they don't.
I guess shifting gears, Josh Sweat seems to be performing at a really high level middle of the season. What have you kind of seen from him as far as the light?
Consistency and understanding what the scheme is and doing a great job in the run. I mean, that's where pass rush, he got some scheme, he got some pressures and things, but he's done a great job in the run, especially how we had him playing. His strength and power allows him to do that. Derek Nottie also did a great job inside in that regard. You saw Derwin in the game. I thought Derwin was outstanding in a lot of areas in that game, so some of those guys have played. But Josh is really evolving into a really good player. I mean, complete player, and understanding his role and how to play consistent every week, how to prepare, what he's got to do weekly to be in position to, mentally, physically to make the plays he has to make.
Jimbo, you were real happy, obviously, with the third and long conversions. They had a lot of them in the last game. After looking at the films, some tendencies, some things you saw you could fix?
No, just breakdowns. Guys should have had some good calls, and we physically missed some things, and then they made a couple good throws and a couple good catches. And, I mean, you're in position to make plays, and you got to make plays. The ball's there, and you're in man under, or now throwing a comeback route underneath. It should never get there. I mean, so technique, we have to do a better job of making sure we teach them exactly how we want the technique and then how they got to apply it. And knowing you can't give up the inside. When you're in man under, you can't give up an inside route, and you got to block that off. So we got to help them in technique, how to get them lined up and make sure they do that.
And in the same sense, offensively, what are some things that are kind of hindering you guys from staying on the field on third down?
Well, I mean, third down, we had a couple protection breakdowns, had a couple route breakdowns. Guys didn't run the right route. James could have had one or two, and then we had a couple short yardages. We missed a block. We didn't block down with a receiver on a sweep that we should have had, would have had one, and then the fumble snap at the end, we didn't get up, and he's got to get up under there. That's a combination of both. A sneak, when they get wedged down in there, is one of the hardest things to execute, believe that or not, getting the snap and getting up in there because of the leverage the center has to get, and you as a quarterback got to get down. So just all those fundamental things. I mean, like I said, for 3 games before that, we were doing pretty well. Just got to go back and make sure we're executing what we call, and hopefully we get some of these older wideouts back and techniques and things we can do, it'll help us out.
All right, we'll go to the phone. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, Jimbo, how you doing?
Hey, Chris, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. I was watching the game on Saturday, and there's a fact that I found out, one of the statistics, that we haven't scored a touchdown in the third quarter. Why is that? What's been the issue in third quarter, not getting a touchdown?
I guess they've been stopped. I guess they got a wall up down there. No, I don't know. He's got a convert coming out. We've hit some. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that was true. Huh. I didn't realize that as much as you said. We come out and got some field goals, got some nice drives to start the half. Got to score a touchdown. Just got to finish, make some halftime adjustments, and then go out and execute.
And talk about Kelly Bryant. What type of quarterback is he? Is he better than Deshaun Watson last year, or are they both?
Well, listen, hold on. You can say better than Deshaun Watson now. That's a big statement. But at the same time, he's unbelievably productive. I mean, this guy has made a lot of runs. At the end of that game, he's their leading rusher. I mean, he's 220 pounds. He's 6'4". He's like a big tailback. And he's making throws, he's making plays, and he's leading them to win. So, in essence, when you say better than Deshaun Watson, he's doing the same thing. His record's the same. And as a quarterback, that's one of the things you count on. Guys making plays, doing things. And I know that's big praise, but this guy's a heck of a football player.
Thanks, Jimbo. Good luck.
Thank you.
Jimbo, looking back, and I know when DeAndre went down, obviously, the hope is that everybody picks their game up and you move on. But looking back, do you feel like it took this team a while to just kind of recover emotionally from losing?
I don't just think it's that. I think we played good teams. I think you had a young quarterback, and I think you had receivers go down. I mean, you had when Auden Tate's going down in that second game, he's having a game of his career. And we're driving, moving the football like crazy, and all of a sudden you lose him. Keith Gavin hadn't played very much, so you got those guys in deal. Then defensively, you start, hopefully you can step up and do some things. Then your young backs are learning. Patrick's the first time he's a starter. Then you lose Dickerson. You lose 2 or 3 of your backup linemen. It's not an excuse, but I mean that chemistry and that tenacity right there, where you're going with the ball, what you can do, what they can do compared to what James could do at that time. But we had opportunities, and that's where you hoped as a team that, you could get the one more stop or the one more play. So it's all a combination of everything.
Jim, on that same token, how beneficial would it have been to play a game in between Alabama and
I think it's been very
NC State?
beneficial. I think because you gain confidence, you gain numbers, that's what I keep saying is the big thing is, and I know it's hard to, people don't believe this, but at the same time, when you go win a couple games early and all of a sudden you get on the field and you win and you start to feel better about yourself, it allows you to have confidence, and a lot of times that's what carries you through, and confidence is a very critical thing. So that could have been, we don't know. You really don't know because you never had them. So you can't say that for sure, but that's one of the reasons you like to play those kind of games right there, where hopefully that you can have success in, but that doesn't guarantee it either. You still got to go out and play.
And you've been coaching against Dabo now for, I guess, 8 years. Y'all both been in the league at the same time. When did you see the Clemson program starting to rise to this? Did you see it coming 2010?
Oh, they always had good players. I mean, you go back and look. They were supposed to beat us in 10. They had it. They had the great. And then we won 11. They slept. But 12, they were coming. I mean, they had everybody back. And then we won 49-38. And then 13, we hit it. 14, they hit it. Now 15 was a possession game up there, which is a great game. I just got done watching. We missed. If you think about it, we missed a 4th and 1, a 3rd and 1, a 4th and 1. And then were able to score 16-13 with 6 minutes to go in the game. And then last year, 37-34, back and forth in the shootout and what we were doing. But I've known that. And the last 3, but their commitment, I mean, building the facilities, building things they've done, the commitment to coaches and Dabo and getting his players. I mean, he's done a great job. He's a great coach. He adjusts and he's done things. And they've added to the program. They've created the surrounding things around and the commitment they've had. And they're taking off. And they've always had great tradition. So, I mean, I've felt this all along. Even when we were winning those games, they were a tremendous program. We were just fortunate enough to make the one more play, and then lately, the last 2 years, they've made the one more play. So, I mean, it's kind of nip and tuck, but they've done a great job in their commitment to things and their investment.
Jimbo, you said on that last play, Derwin got a piece of the block on a field goal. Matthew Thomas, first field goal attempt, got a block. Just on the 2 blocks, something you guys saw on film to take advantage, or
no, something we work on every day. I mean, we were always trying with punts. I think we blocked 2 punts now, and that's 2 field goals that we've gotten a hand on. So I mean, that's something that we work religiously on daily. And sometimes when those things come, you get them. Sometimes they don't. I mean, but you just got to keep practicing. We think we have the best opportunity, and that's something we're always committed to doing.
For your guys, especially some of the seniors, is this game, could it be an opportunity for them to show that they're still capable of coming together and being the team that they expected to be?
I don't know about that. I think not just the seniors. I think in general, you better, because you're playing a great team and they're home field. You better be ready to play a great game, not just so that you got to compete. And there's a lot on the line as far as what we have for pride and the things that go on, and how you want to be perceived yourself of any time you play, how hard you play, how well you play, and you want to improve your stock. In your history of what you provide for the young players here as an example of how to compete and do things well.
You just got done facing Syracuse with Dino in his second year.
Mm-hmm.
Mark's doing a good job in his second year at Miami. Just in building a program, how important is that second year in terms of building stuff?
I think they all are. I mean, it's not just what the second year is. It's what your plan is, and then how they're implemented, and what the people give you the pieces to put in place. And it seems like they are. Their players, they're big, stronger. Like I say, think of the games they played this year. I mean, they've beaten Clemson. Miami was 20-19 with 3 minutes to go, and had 4 turnovers. They had 4 turnovers in that game. LSU was 28-26 or 26-24 with 2 or 3 minutes to go in the game at LSU. And that game was at Miami, and the other one was at their home place. I mean, they've played some great football. You look at how they play; they're a very good football team. Defensively, offensively, they've done a great job. And the scheme they have, the quarterback does a great job. They had 2 experienced wideouts, and Dino's a good football coach. So, I mean, it is very important, not just your second year, but any year. But you keep seeing progression and things that you have to be successful. Just like when we had here, we needed indoor, we needed a dorm, we needed to be able to help recruiting. All those things made a big difference in your progression, but you can't ever stop. You got to keep pushing. I'm not saying that here. I'm saying anywhere in your program, what's the next step you got to take? And if you ever do, you're going to get passed up. And you got to keep growing.
Jimbo, you guys have gone up to Clemson a couple times with backup quarterbacks where maybe people might have expected you guys to have a tough time, but you played really good games, had the lead.
35-30 and 23-13. It was 16-13.
And had the lead in that game. What's the key to the mentality to go into a situation like that?
You got to be ready to compete. You understand who you're playing. Listen, they ain't gonna give you anything. You got to go earn everything, and you better have your sleeves rolled up, better have your helmet buckled tight, and be ready to play. They're a great team, a great program. You're in the secret. You got to go play. Hopefully play well and play intelligently.
Kind of off topic a little bit. Did you see what Jalen and A.J. Green got into yesterday? And what did he bring that to the practice field when he was here?
I didn't know. I don't know what happened.
Oh, he got into a skirmish, and I guess A.J. Green got fed up with him and slammed him to the ground and started punching him because he was so mad at him. I don't know if Jalen brought that out in people, but was he that kind of guy on the practice field?
Practice every day. Every play to him was like intense, focused. The things I talk about, I love. I mean, every play he played, he would embarrass you if you didn't play well in practice. He would completely embarrass you. He didn't care if it was his buddy, he didn't care if it was his friend, didn't care if it was anybody. He was in that mold with Telvin and Jameis and Joyner and those guys, Freeman, Wilder. I mean, those guys would embarrass you. If you didn't want to play, good. I'll beat your brains in that day. And he would embarrass you. I mean, he would play his tail off every day. Journey, I mean, all those guys did. And he had that same mentality every day. His competitive nature was crazy.
Was he like that from day one, even from stepping into that secondary with those guys?
Yep. Because he knew he had to be.
Yeah.
They made him be. And then he already had that in him too. He was naturally that way.
And maybe not to that degree, but with your young guys, do you see some of that in some of your young guys?
Hopefully some. I mean, not to some of that extent. He was one of the most special ones probably I've ever had like that. But some other guys at other places. But you see some guys that are really like that do a good job. But we'll see in time if it carries on. I mean, he was like that every day. Every day. Didn't matter. Every time you practice, every drill you did, everything you did, those guys had an unbelievable just drive. Some guys have that, and some guys have good drive. I mean, he was in that upper 1%, in my opinion.
Just said, was there ever a time on the practice field where he really got under Kelvin or another player's?
They were on the same team. Oh, yeah. And people got under his. Because he got it right back. Them guys on the other side didn't back up. There were guys on the other side did the same way. They got under each other's skin. I mean, those guys, that would happen daily. That stuff happened daily.
Anything to trigger a fight?
Yeah, all the time. They did it all the time. Not from him. I mean, other guys. I mean, them guys. You had alpha. They were a lot of alpha males in that group, and they went at it hard.
Jimbo, the players after the game said that they respect the bowl streak and they really want to keep it going, but they also understand they can't focus on that. What's the balance there? How do you?
Well, that's your goal. I mean, but if you sit and dwell on the outcome of a game, like I say all the time, if you sit and dwell on the score, you forget to play the game. You got to play. You got to prepare. That can't be. You can't let that paralyze you. I mean, as I said, it's a burden you carry. It's part of why you want to come here. We've had great history. We've had great tradition. You've had great longevity. I mean, you've had great everything. And And that's one of the reasons they attract you here. You win. We're successful. There's a way we do things. But you can't let that paralyze you. Got to go play and do the things you got to do to be successful. And practice that way and understand that. Compete your tail off. And if you're not, go back and do it again. And not feel like, okay, if I didn't do that, should I walk away? I mean, you can't. And when you're in it like that as a player, or coach, or anything else, that's what you have to do. And that's any game you play. I always say, don't look at the scoreboard. That sounds crazy. Well, no. Play the next play. You understand the situation and that, but just concentrate on what you got to do. I always say, do you ever hear Tiger Woods say? They asked him what he was thinking about on that putt when it was at the PGA. Had a bad leg and he made that putt. What were you thinking about? I was thinking about taking my putter back, the line I had to hit, and had what speed I had to hit and hit. You wouldn't think. It meant that wasn't on my mind. And people have a hard time fathoming that if you're not in it. If you think about that, that's the guys who fail. The guys who think about what they got to do at that particular time are the guys that succeed.
Jim, I know you're a big advocate of having a football-only complex. What are some other commitments that you would like to see the program kind of make?
Well, it's in the time to get into all that, but I mean, you have to do that. I mean, for development and commitment to things you have, and those things are a major deal. As unfortunately in this business, when you get into the facilities business, you're never out of it. You're never out of development. Your company can never quit growing. Whether it's that or behind the scenes things, or support staff, all that can never happen. It can never go away. If it does, people fly by you like crazy. And there's numerous examples across this country. And if you don't understand that, you're missing the boat. Now, it all has to be relative to what you can do, when you can do it, and everything else. But at the same time, if you don't, it can pass you by very, very quickly.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you.
Thank you.